Nací en mi patria Venezuela, así en el norte del sur, al lado de Colombia, en medio del Atlántico Azul, donde los mediodías son de 33 grados para arriba y las mujeres aquí de más buenas que la comida, donde un carro nuevo cuesta al menos el sueldo de 10 años y una casa cuesta al menos el precio de 100 carros. Soy de un país con miles de leyes sin aplicar, con 60 muertos semanal solo en la capital. Por ende, muy pocas cosas me sorprenden. Me han apuntado en la cara para robarme un par de lentes. He visto policías matando gente inocente y he visto gente no inocente siendo presidente, ¿entiendes? Me gusta el rap desde que tengo como 11 y no he podido parar desde entonces. He escrito un montón de canciones, he improvisado ebrio en callejones y he cantado serio ante varios cientos de seguidores. Yo he demostrado hasta a los más conservadores que el rap puede ser oído por jóvenes y mayores también, que el rap no es solamente violencia como creen y que a pesar que competimos buscamos un bien, no zen. Muchos me ven y creen que es cosa de muchacho, que me drogo, que soy un bobo, que soy un borracho sin saber cuánto trabajo para pagar mi rancho y que me educo para ser un Don Quijote más que un Sancho. Parezco un loco respecto a la mayoría, salgo poco, me gusta más la oscuridad que el día. Tengo mal carácter y un par de problemas psicológicos. No creo en la Biblia, sino en razonamientos lógicos. Vengo de un barrio donde a veces comía la misma pasta todos los días, con agua a veces ni fría, pero todavía hambre no he pasado, nada me lo han regalado, por eso soy frío como un soldado. Actualmente hay gente que quiere firmarme, hacer mi música bailable, tratarme como muñeco inflable. Yo le respondo que prefiero comer un cable y que no modificaré jamás lo que mi alma les hable. Así me tarde la mitad de mi vida y no lo disfrute. Yo le tengo para que esta música consiga el respeto del planeta completo, porque ahora es tiempo de implantar a punta de verso la real expresión del gueto. Quiero hacer música pero que no se baile, sino que se siente en el corazón y en el aire. Quiero morir en cada verso que escriba y que me devuelvan a la vida con rap y la mano arriba. No quiero dormir, no quiero ahorrar nunca mi fuerza. Ojalá se mueran todos los gobernantes que mientan. Quiero abrir las puertas del zoológico a los animales y encerrar allí a todos los oficiales criminales. Quiero que inventen ya la vacuna contra el racismo y que el planeta acepte que en el fondo todos somos lo mismo. Quiero que las municiones se conviertan en pan y que los superhéroes salgan de la serie donde están. Yo quiero que la avaricia nunca le gane al honor y que la única religión en el mundo se llame amor. Hay muchas cosas que quisiera, pero por los momentos me conformo con rapear hasta que me muera. Quiero hacer música de conciencia, a pesar de que piensa que el rap no sirve, yo le voy a demostrar lo verdadero, el son del guero, de este nuevo movimiento musical. El respeto para el rap latino les exijo aquí, de parte del campesino de hambre en el beat. Ya que llevo tanto, ahora me toca hablar a mí. Si no me conoces, investiga por ahí. Quiero hacer música, pero que no se baile, a menos que sea con el puño al aire. Samples, cajas, hi-hat, bases, voz, guadam, 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 guadam. Basta del irrespeto de racistas extranjeros. Guadam, 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 guadam. Ya basta de que piensen que es delincuente el rapero. Mucho gusto a los presentes, mi nombre es Cam. De Venezuela exactamente, del país donde nació el súper a mi gente, donde el grupo básico también es residente, del país donde te pueden plomear de repente. Quiero hacer música pero que no se baile, a menos que sea moviendo el cuello. Quiero hacer música pero que no se baile, a menos que sea doblando el ceño. Mucho gusto a los presentes, mi nombre es Cam. Mucho gusto a los presentes, mi nombre es Cam. Mucho gusto a los presentes, mi nombre es Cam. Mucho gusto a los presentes, mi nombre es Cam.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of the United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
contando, que dicen, sí, que cuentan. Ya, escúchame, ya. Los medios cuentan que si hay libertad de prensa, la mordaz es cosa escasa y todos dicen lo que piensan. Y esa sutil es impresa y repetida diariamente tiene contenta tu mente con yo soy combate y fiesta. Presta el control, Tarantino no es tan gore como los crímenes de amor que a toda hora se nos muestra. Pues tal vez la estrategia impuesta, pánico en el público y manejarás el pal. Político en vez de patrullas se vende camilla para un hospital, como si esa mierda de combo no diera seguridad. No será casualidad que el otro dueño del canal sea el cerro sobrino pero bueno de tu primo hermano pariente papá. Si esa nostalgia no es noticia, su codicia se evidencia. Propicia violencia y plástico, panémica belleza. Fútbol, patriotismo falso, culos, vasos de cerveza. Pele cáncer pa' tu mesa y el domingo en misa pesa. Sobre su cabeza pesa el atraso mental del pueblo. Oposición vendió trasero, dictador, grupo Romero. Pero se confundieron acá, la palabra es cruda. A tu educación mi camino se afloja la lucha a través de cultura. Es como genera de uno, tal vez otro loco se suma. Ya saben cortina de humo que explota la mina que mata la cuna. Primo, vengo que trate la friuna, no una pura canción de aventura. Así no censura, emite basura, no le conviene que sepa verdura. Hay extorsiones, violaciones, no por llanto y más. Con tanto muerto el morbo están alimentando, ves no hay paz. Solo un odio contenido en milis para que vivan en la paz y si algún día cambiará. Hay extorsiones, robo, violaciones, llanto y más. Con tanto muerto el morbo están alimentando, ves no hay paz. Solo un odio contenido en milis para que vivan en la paz y si algún día cambiará.
Sensacionalismo, amigo eterno de la prensa, el mismo que forjó al humano sumiso, callado y muestra. En el noticiero, en el artículo del diario, la vida de una bebé que poco invierte
al vecindario.
Sirven como fieles feligreses, a oscuro intereses, mienten todo el día, crean solo estupideces. La historia afirma, indica que siempre negaron información alternativa que todo pueblo merece. A cada instante pareciera su labor asesinar una memoria colectiva que hace una nación, con una prensa cómplice que juega con humor, desconociendo ese dolor que nos dejó ese dictador. Cortina de humo es su mejor función, para apartarte de la fuente harán de todo, pues miro hoy como venderte el culo de Sharon Stone, cagándose en tu derecho a la objetiva información. El narco, el almirante, el presidente, el congresista, algún ministro, algún legado, de seguro es el patrón de ese periódico morboso y amarillo que al leerlo 2 minutos te vuelve en un show. Los medios son culpables, responsables de toda propaganda basura que te ofrece la TV. Pues será mejor que se autoeduque, pues my friend, porque el comercio de los medios te carcome hasta las 100.
Hay violaciones, extorsiones, robo, llanto y más. Con tanto muerto el morbo están alimentando, ves no hay paz. Solo un odio contenido en milis para que vivan en la paz y algún día cambiará. Hay extorsiones, violaciones, robo, llanto y más. Con tanto muerto el morbo están alimentando, ves no hay paz. Solo un odio contenido en milis para que vivan en la paz y algún día cambiará. Que algún día cambiará. Que algún día cambiará.
CPF.
A decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
Whoa, hold on. Hey. Nobody told you to go again. Okay. Man, I hope you guys can hear me. Let me close this up real quick. And switch cameras now. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning, in case you're watching from another side of the world. Thank the Lord Creator that He's given me the energy to push myself to kind of get into these classes. But today is going to be something different. I won't bring up much scripture today. I do want to touch on this. SIMALUCRUM. SIMALUCRUM. Okay, so I think I'm saying it right. Talking to a brother about that earlier today. I think I said it right. And I think we need to understand exactly what that means. I think that's important. SIMALUCRUM. Right? You guys have probably never heard of that word. We're going to touch on it. We're going to definitely touch on it. And it has to do with wabos. These confused, confabulated, similitude of, but not exactly it. And I'm going to show you where this confusion is coming from. And it has to do with the brain. Let's get going. Matter of fact, let's get going. I'm not even going to bother to say anything else. Let's go. Bam. Let's go, man. In case I didn't do it. All right. So as you guys know, the book I've shared with you before, it's called A Little Matter of Genocide. Okay. And it's important that we look at this again because, I think it'll speak for itself. Okay. So we're going to go back. We're going to go. Come on, bro. Just get up to there. All right. So I had already marked the place. Let me see if I can get to it real quick. Remembering the historians, Churchill, World Language documents. That's a little bit too far behind. Let me start. I think it should be right around. Give me a second. Sorry, my bad. I passed it. My bad, family. You see what I'm saying? There's always something in the way, huh? Oh, man. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start right here. Let's start in where it states. Here it goes. Page 15. So let's say in the prefix, all right? So let's begin. It says, but remembering the Holocaust does remain necessary. So what I'm doing is I'm going to show you a video regarding one of our brothers here, Thomas, Oklahoma. Okay, he did the video 8 months ago, caught my attention, and I'm going to give you guys some ammunition so then you can go back and slap the shit out of these fools and maybe slap some nonsense or slap the nap out of that. I don't understand exactly where they're all coming from because I didn't understand before, but now we're going to see where this is coming from. This is a stage, and as you can see, you're going to see that these stages were progressive. And now you got useful idiots pushing this agenda. But again, when you are sick in the head, I'm going to then now handle you like you're sick in the head. Okay, but remembering the Holocaust does remain necessary as it should. So apparently do claims for historical unrevealed magnitude of Jewish suffering magnitude of Jewish suffering during the Holocaust. As we know that what occurred here is never considered a Holocaust. The only material we have is what the American Holocaust, the book that we know about. That's as far as you hear about the Holocaust that started in 1492. Okay, so here we know, based on this book, that so-called Jewish people love to throw that Holocaust in your face. But we also have Wabos and the Abels and all these West Africans with that Canaanite spirit. They love to throw that shit in our face as well, but they want to forget that they are part of the puzzle. They were also helpful to this agenda. So let's skip it here and let's go. As Winston Churchill and others have overwhelmingly documented, the European conquest of the New World, including the U.S. government destruction of its own indigenous peoples. Now, when is that a subject? When does that matter? because you only hear about Jewish people or blackish people. And now that I'm saying blackish because now they want to take the brown color. Now they want to claim brown now. Not black anymore. Blackity blacks don't want to be brown. Now they don't want to be that no more. Now they want to be brown. Okay, so as Winston Churchill and others have overwhelmingly documented, the European conquest of the New World, including the U.S. government destruction of its own indigenous people. Now, let's bear record to this. Let's not forget that this destruction of indigenous gente like ourselves didn't occur by the gringo only. It was also black folks that came with them. And I'm going to show you that too. And this useful idiot right here, the guy that's in this video, not the brother Thomas, Oklahoma, the useful idiot, he's going to say it himself. He's going to say, well, my mama and my daddy had slaves too. Hey, by the way, I'm going to tell y'all something. If you guys subscribe thinking I pushed the 12-type chart, you need to unsubscribe right now. This channel is about facts. And I don't give a damn about your emotions. I'm going to bring you the way I see shit. And if it hurts your feelings, then oh well. I'm not lying. That's all I care about. As long as I'm not lying, I'm good. Now it says here, was the most massive interrelated sequence of genocides in the history of the world. But never mind what the Wabos are saying. Never mind what are these idiots, Tariq Nasheed, dumbasses? Never mind what they're saying. Even though I will welcome any day, anytime, any moment for them to come here and see if they got something to say. Because I got to share this stuff and see if they can answer it. Because if they can answer it and justify it and still stay in the lane without lying and using signs and wonders and miracles, not facts, but paint, I'm not going to stand for that. That don't work here. Over the course of 4 centuries, let me remind you that black folks didn't come here after 1619. They came with the Spaniards. And they raped, robbed, and pillaged our gente just like the gringos did. And if that hurts your feelings, oh well. Those are facts. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. Do better, be better. Isn't that what you say? Do better, be better. Of course, over the course of 14 centuries, from Columbus' first landing in Hispaniola in the fall of 1492 to the U.S. Army massacre, which also included black and white folks, of innocent Indian men, women, and children at Wounded Knee in the winter of 1891. And we know prior to 1891, we had the so-called, what do you call them? Buffalo soldiers. Remember the Jamaicans? They were the ones that actually killed all the buffaloes, in case you guys don't know. That's why they were called buffalo soldiers. The white man couldn't do it. So it's like today in sports. When the white man can't win a game, they got to put the black dude in there. It's always how it works. It's always how it works. It says here, tens of millions, okay, of Western Hemisphere Native people were consumed in a Holocaust of mass violence that in locale after locale typically destroyed 90 to 95% and more of the indigenous inhabitants. And you know what? It's okay. It's totally okay for me when I see that hardly anybody even cares. Seriously. And it's all good to me, man, because you want to know something? This channel probably won't grow because it's too real for you guys. It's too emotional for some of you. You can't stand it. You don't want to accept these facts. So you conjure up and create this similitude of an idea of some people that you guys are. And of course, with the destruction of so many and so few left behind, it would be somewhat difficult to not see why, with a wicked spirit like that, like a seditious nation, like back in Canaan times, right? You would want to steal what doesn't belong to you. You did it back then. You're doing it again. Now, historians and politicians once liked to boast of the slaughter of Indians that characterized the European and Euro-American conquest of North America. We know, historically speaking, now that Europeans were of swarthy color. Thus, the most celebrated American historians of this time, Francis Parkman, described the Indian as a man, wolf, and devil all in one, and as deserving of the extermination that was proceeding apace, as he wrote. And President Theodore Roosevelt happily called the U.S. military grizzlies, mass murderers, and ritual dismemberment of hundreds of Indian women and children at Sand Creek in Colorado, as righteous and beneficial as deed as it ever took place on the frontier. Now remember, keep in mind, who were the soldiers there? It wasn't just white folks. In this post-Nazi era, however, gloating over genocide is falling out of vague. It is in its place are discussions of the sad inevitably of the native people destruction of the unintentionally unleashed European disease that are said to have done all the damage. Now, we know now, and I know it hurts you guys, that smallpox was not brought by white folks. Smallpox was brought by African people. West African people brought smallpox and decimated a lot of our gente as well. Now, I do want to touch on something. Actually, you know what? I'll touch on it in a bit because I think there's another paragraph that touches on it. It says here, invaders to find, unleashed European diseases that are said to have done all the damage, and of the kind of efforts of the European invaders to find a middle ground, and of accommodations and understandings between themselves and the Indians. Generosities fatted to fail, alas, because of the Indian leaders' alleged inability to control their warriors, right? I wonder who that was, but I won't get too much on the side of that. So it says here, it has been quite an intellectual pirouette, I guess, to behold, from proudly taking credit for mass murder to blaming the victim, which is what they're saying. We were savages. The doctrine of discovery, manifest destiny. God loves America. God loves white people and black people, I guess, because, we see Black Madonna. They try to claim that Jesus, the white or the black one, was new to them. They were full of shit. They were teaching that crap over there too. So again, if you want to go biblical, how in the world are you the people of the Bible? If the Bible says in Deuteronomy 28 that you would be subdued by people of another nation you've never known before, with another religion that you've never met before, but yet you push that religion day in and day out. I mean, make it make sense. In this climate, hey, shalom, Scooby boxing. In this climate, with American scholars and politicians now adamantly denying that there is any blood on their forefathers, visibly dripping hands. Once more, when you black folks are asking for reparations, you are doing this exactly. In this climate, with American scholars and politicians now adamantly denying. This goes for Republicans who want to stop person about printing or even having access to books that remind people of the white oppression. That offends them. But here too, these WABOs want to deny their contribution to the slaughter of our gente, the 90 to 95%. It says here, it has been quite an intellectual pirouette, I guess, I can't even say it, to behold, from proudly taking credit for mass murder to blaming the victim. From open celebration of genocide to genocidal denial in just a few short generations. 4th of July. You say that's independence from Britain, but you were killing us. Now you guys are Wabo. Now you guys are Mayas. Now you guys are the Mexicas or Raza. Now you're the natives. Now you're washing your hands like you had nothing to do with the smallpox, with your dirty ass coming here. Visibly dripping hands. The claim of certain Jewish scholars and their acolytes that the Nazi killings of Jews was unprecedented and unique falls of welcome ears. So here he's basically explaining how the Holocaust over there seems to be more significant. Yet you guys are overlooking what you did here. Now you want to hide. And I don't know why the white man is actually helping you. They've hid their history so much that they don't even want to admit. The white man don't even want to admit that black people had them enslaved. And I think that's probably why they're willing to hide that shit from us and not admit it. But they allow you to play and foam up all of that pride. Boast about it, because then you start letting us know who you really are. Then it says here, let me skip over here. Herman and Chomsky illustrate this observation by comparing the lavish attention heaped by the U.S. mass media in the murder of a priest by Polish police in 1984, a worthy victim killed by the agents of an enemy state, with the almost non-existent coverage afforded by the murders of the priests in U.S. client state of Latin America, unworthy victims killed by the agents of American allies. Later in that same volume, they similarly compare the American response to genocide in Cambodia, horror, since the Cambodian government was our enemy, thereby making its victims worthy. You see. So let me skip here. This, of course, is precisely the same dynamic involving in the treatment of American scholars, politicians, and journalists regarding the Jewish victims. The victimhood, they call it. So let me get to this point here to remind us, because apparently the Holocaust that occurred here does not matter, even though it is blatant and obvious in our face. It doesn't matter. No, as a matter of fact, we weren't, that didn't even happen to us. Basically what they're saying is that they brought us after. But not once have you ever heard of records of black folks dying of smallpox here. When did that happen? However, we do know this, that during the 4th century, spanning between 1492, when Christopher Columbus first set foot in the New World of the Caribbean beach, and 1892, that's 400 years, when the U.S. Census Bureau concluded that there were fewer than 250,000 indigenous people surviving within the country's claimed boundaries. A hemispheric population estimated to have been as great as 125 million was reduced by something over 90%. How, you ask? The people had died in their millions of being hacked apart with axes. It wasn't just white people. And swords. It wasn't just black people either. You had Arabs in there too. Burned alive, trampled under horses, hunted as game, fed to dogs like the dogs of conquest, shot, beaten, stabbed, scalped for bounty, hanged on meat hooks, and thrown over the ships of the sea, thrown over the sides of ships at sea. Now, when have you ever heard of, or ever anybody ever made a movie or any reference of raza being tipped overboard as slaves? No, the first thing that comes to your mind is Amistad, black people. Kind of like Trump says, black people, black. You can't say it right for some reason. Here we see worked to death as slave laborers, intentionally starved and frozen to death during a multitude of forced marches and internments, and an unknown number of instances deliberately infected with an epidemic disease. Now, we know that smallpox came from the other side of the world. So who brought smallpox? It wasn't the white man, because they couldn't go into Africa. They had to get Africans to get Africans to them, because they knew going into that safari shit, they're going to die. They knew it. And those are facts. You can look it up. It's not a lie. However, this right here, the reason I share this with y'all, because I want to touch on this. I know sometimes you guys go to the Bible and you want to say, you know, you go to Deuteronomy 28 and look, we're diminished. But it also says it here. If you really look at this, look, this is Isaiah 6, and then I'll move on back to the topic. Just kind of throwing it in there, because I'm going to show you guys some books, some real quick notes, and then write them down. Check this out. It says here. So here we see, it's a really short, chapter, Isaiah's commission. He's being called to go talk to the people, right? So let's start at verse 8. Then I heard a voice, Isaiah 6:8. And I heard a voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. And he said, go and tell the people, this people, be ever hearing, but never understanding. Be ever seeing, but never perceiving. Make the heart of these people callous, make the ears dull, and close their eyes. Otherwise, they might see that with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, their mind, and turn and be healed. Then said I, for how long, Lord? And he answered, until the cities lie ruined and without inhabitant. Sounds similar, right? Until the houses are left deserted and the fields ruined and ravaged. A nation from afar, from the end of the earth. We understand that. But again, let's stay here, because we're all over the place, and it's just a matter of reading, and that's it. And then you shut these fools up, because they're stupid like that. Because they don't like to read. They really don't like to read. They like pictures. They like colors. I'm telling you, I'm going to show you how that happens. And though, listen, until the Lord has sent everyone far away and the land is utterly forsaken. So we know that here we were transported everywhere. Look up the book, a very simple book called Global Indios. You'll find out right there. Very thin, very heavy. And though a tenth remain in the land, wait a minute, hold on a second. How many people were slaughtered here in Americas? About 90% were left, right? But it says here, and though a tenth remains in the land, 10% of the people were left behind, right? Because the rest of us died. It says, though a tenth remain in the land, it will again be laid waste. So you're like, okay, but it says restore it. But no. En contraire, mon frère. Watch this. But as the terebinth and oak leaf stumps, when they are cut down, so the holy seed will be the stump in that land. Oof. So even though we will diminish, we still have the stump here set in our land of who we are. And that doesn't stop ever. Just a little touch there. But now that we're here, I'm glad we're here. Now let's look at this. Let's look at this silliness. By the way, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Subscribe to his channel, family. I didn't subscribe because I wanted to show y'all. Oh, I already did it. My bad. Well, anyways, I forgot. So anyways, check the brother out. He's putting some good stuff in. Let's listen in. I got something to share. We're gonna go back and forth, and then I'm gonna let it play. Then I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna show you guys some stuff, and then I'm gonna go. All right, let's go.
You know, exactly what's going on is that you have two schools of thought. You have an Abocentric thought, which is we are the original Indians, black people are the original Indians. Then you got the Afrocentric thought process, which is black people came here. That's where you get the Olmeca. You know, we were the Olmeca. We started your civilization. We built the pyramids. So there's two kind of quacky thoughts of the same type of process, but for an understanding, it's getting popular, as you said originally, and they're harassing actual natives on other social media platforms, like even TikTok. You look at TikTok, which is an up-and-coming kind of 1-minute segment type of application, and they're calling them $5 Indians, and you know, you're not the real Indians. So this harassment is going on with authentic natives against people who believe this stuff.
I'm out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm of both indigenous heritage from Mexico and from the Southwest, and I became involved in this type of topic about 5 or 6 years ago on social media, just experiencing these wild claims by African Americans that they were unsettling because the claims were basically erasing our indigenous heritage, claims of our sacred sites, our pyramids, our mounds, all of our sacred calendar system. All that was supposedly created by Africans or some sort of black Native American tribes that have been hidden from history or something like that. And it just became infuriating. So I got involved in this topic to really research where this is coming from. And it's allowed me to meet a lot of different people who are experiencing different type of attacks from people that are basically just spreading pseudo nonsense.
So my thing is this.
A ver, que alguien me explique.
Are you?
Oh, the sound. Okay, thank you, bro. Thank you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to look up the word imposter syndrome. Why you may feel like a fraud. Thank you, bro. Thank you. No voice. Okay, hold on. Testing 1, 2, 3. What do you mean? You mean this right here?
Why have we?
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see. Let's see what you mean. Maybe. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
You know, exactly what's going on is that you have two.
Let me know that you guys can hear it.
Afrocentric thought, which is we are the original Indians. Black people are the original Indians.
Okay. All right, let's play it again. I'm gonna play it again, and I'm gonna read the meaning. All right, let's go.
Then you got the Afrocentric thought process, which is black people came here. That's where you get the Olmeca. You know, we were the Olmeca. We started your civilization. We built the pyramids. So there's two kind of quacky thoughts of the same type of process, but for an understanding, it's getting popular, as you said originally, and they're harassing actual natives on other social media platforms, like even TikTok. You look at TikTok, which is an up-and-coming kind of 1-minute segment type of application, and they're calling them $5 Indians, and you know, you're not the real Indian. So this harassment is going on with authentic natives against people who believe this stuff.
I'm out of Santa Fe, Mexico. I'm of both indigenous heritage from Mexico and from the Southwest, and I became involved in this type of topic about 5 or 6 years ago on social media, just experiencing these wild claims by African Americans that were unsettling, because the claims were basically erasing our indigenous heritage, claims of our sacred sites, our pyramids, our mounds, all of our sacred calendar system. All that was supposedly created by Africans or some sort of black Native American tribes that have been hidden from history or something like that, and it just became infuriating. So I got involved in this topic to really research where this is coming from, and it's allowed me to meet a lot of different people who are experiencing different type of attacks from people that are basically just spreading pseudo nonsense.
So my thing is this.
Okay, all right. So let's see. And you know, yeah, it is pseudo. It's all pseudo shit. But it's okay, man. You know, let's. It's like this. It's like baseball, family. Just, man, set them up. Just set them up. This is easy stuff. It's easy work, man. Imposter syndrome. Why you may feel like a fraud? Because this is really what's going on, family. Imposter syndrome is a psychological experience of feeling like a fake or a phony, despite any genuine success that you have achieved. You did come here with the white man. You had your lands. You had your chance. You had power. And then the antebellum period all went away. And then the Reconstruction Act. And then the white man got tired of being under your feet. And now they're not letting you no more. Those are facts. That's it. That's what you are. You've had your chance. You ain't never going to rule again. Ever. It can show up in the context of work, relationships, and friendships, or just overall. As a nation, we can see it. And it's a common, very common and frustrating phenomena, because it holds us back from the self-confidence we earn and deserve to feel. Well, you might have imposter syndrome if you find yourself constantly experiencing self-doubt. You don't believe you're West African, or let alone African, even in areas where you typically excel. Well, let's continue. Imposter syndrome may feel like nervous, accompanied by belief you'll be found out. It may also manifest as negative self-talk. Symptoms of anxiety and depression often accompany imposter syndrome. And again, this is nothing new under the sun. You did it back then. Again, when Canaan wasn't supposed to be in the land, you're a seditious nation, a seditious spirit. Now, I'm not calling all of you guys that. You guys are different tribes. You don't understand. You may look the same, but you guys are different tribes. And this particular tribe is an imposter, because Canaan loves to steal other people's things that don't belong to them. Look up Jubilees 10. It'll tell you. This is historical. It's a psychological issue that they have. The irony is that people with imposter syndrome are often highly accomplished, impressive individuals, can run fast, you can jump, play sport. I don't understand. But you want to be the fat, pudgy native Indian, right? That's okay. Oh, man, it's like, yo. Oh, shit. On the other side, there's no apparent reason for them to feel like imposters, and yet they still do. The psychological phenomenon, it is very much of an internal feeling about work or self-worth, and that's really it. But it can also actually affect the way you approach project, relationships, yada, yada, all that stuff, right? So we see here the 5 types of imposters. Now, touch on that real quick. I think that should be enough. Let me give you another example, because you have to tackle this from the root, family. If you don't understand the root cause, you won't understand the struggle of these people. People who struggle with imposter syndrome believe that they are undeserving of their achievements and the high esteem in which they are, in fact, generally held. See? Why do people with imposter syndrome feel like frauds, even though there is abundant evidence that they're successful? I don't know. Just thought I could throw that in there. Now, why we got the imposter syndrome, now let me give you the definition of this right here, because I think this is going to help us a little bit more. Okay. This definition here, simulacrum or simulacra, for simulacrum, meaning likeness, resemblance, is a representation or imitation of a person or thing. The word was first recorded in English language in the late 16th century, is used to describe representation, such as a statue or a painting, especially of a god. So we see here the originality philosophy. It's coming from these simulacra have been of interest of philosophers. So again, it's like, oh, this is actually a good topic. I was going to go into it. Simulacra and simulation. In 1981, philosophical treatise by the philosopher, culture, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This guy actually did something, and he did a study. So check this out. The simulacra and simulation is most known for its discussion of symbol, signs, and how they relate to contemporaneity, simultaneous existence. Baudrillard claims that current society, this is true. He claims that current society has replaced all reality, meaning WABOs, has replaced all reality and meaning with symbols and signs, and that human experience is a simulation of reality. Moreover, these simulacra are not merely meditation of reality, nor even deceptive meditations of reality. They're not based on reality, nor do they hide reality. They simply hide that nothing like reality is relevant to people's current understandings of their lives. It's all a lie. So we might as well create a lie. This whole society is a lie. Here are the stages of how this all begun. And I'm glad that I got to this. Check this out. How does this all begin? There are stages to this creation of WABOISms and FBAs and all these idiots. The first stage is a faithful image or copy where people believe, and may even be correct to believe, that a sign is a reflection of a profound reality. I'll explain it to you. The reflection of a profound reality. Hey, look, they look black. They look like me. So does that mean that's me? This is a good appearance in what Baudrillard called the sacramental order. So the first thing is to believe, right, the image. And again, this happens from time to time. And it says the second stage is perversion of reality, where people come to believe that the sign is an unfaithful copy, which masks and denatures reality. You see this? The second stage is perversion of reality, where people come to believe that the sign is an unfaithful copy. So now, what they had an image of, now that image is not real. Do you understand that? So that's what they created, that image wasn't real, which masks and denatures reality as an evil appearance. It is of the order of maleficence. Here, signs and images do not faithfully reveal reality to us, but can hint at the existence of an obscure reality, which the sign itself is incapable of encapsulating. So now there's blurriness between who are the real natives and who are not. You see some natives with blacks. Now these people are starting to end with media and books. After time, that's that blurry line, right? The third stage masks the absence of a profound reality now. Now we're going deeper into this. But the sign pretends to be a faithful copy, but it is a copy with no original. So now they're saying that the original natives were lost. The us that are here, that we're not them. Signs and images claim to present something real, but no representation. It is taking place in arbitrary images are merely suggested as a thing which they have no relationship to. He calls this the order of sorcery, which I find very striking. A regimen of semantic algebra where all human meanings is conjured artificially to appear as a reference to the increasingly hermetic truth. So now they twisted. It went from you're just a copy. No, we're going to copy a copy. That copy is not real. But you know what? Through sorcery, conjuring, artificial appearance, now even that is confusing. So then now we got to go to the fourth stage, is the simulacrum, in which the simulacrum, simulacrum, has no relationship to any reality whatsoever. So everything that they touch, they create, they write, they show pictures and all that, none of it is real. Here, signs merely reflect other signs. Look at this picture. Look at that picture. The Bushman, remember, Colomiados did the Bushman video. He edited the fact that it said African Bushman. So again, signs merely reflect other signs. And any claim to reality on the part of the image or sign is only of the order or of other such claims. You see that? So now that you're questioning those pictures and all this, no. Those are just some other realities. This is a regimen of total equivalence where cultural products need no longer even pretend to be real in a naive sense, because the experience of the consumer lives in so a predominant artificial that even claims to reality are expected to be phrased of artificial. So not even you natives are not really you're not even believing it yourself. Other people are really believing this shit that they created. Any naive pretension to reality as such is perceived as a bereft of critical self-awareness and thus a over-sentimental. This is actually pretty crazy here. How it actually goes through the process. The propagandation of the second order of simulacra. That is, within the affected context, nothing is real. How do we know? Stuff is not a joke. Here, I'll tell you where it all started. This is an article from Frederick Douglass. And in this article, this is what he says. All rights for all, 1852. Now, you guys understand, and you should know better. You should know what happened in 1848. The majority of the north part of America was lost. And we know that a lot of our native brothers and sisters were pushed even further. And we know that Texas was taken by several black folks, not just whites. Okay? So be mindful when you see what I'm going to read to you. It says, the colonization scheme. There's no sentiment more universally entertained, no more firmly held, by the free colored people of the United States, then that this their own, then that this is their own, their native land. This is, by the way, Frederick Douglass, whose father's a white guy, supposedly. We don't know now. You know what I'm saying? And that here, for good or for evil, their destiny is to be wrought out. So keep this in mind, what's going on here. So now he's saying there's no sentiment more universally entertained, meaning the black folks here, no more firmly held by the free colored people of the United States, that this is their own, their native land. Now, how so, you ask? How so, right? And that here, for good or for evil, their destiny is to be wrought out. Remember the 4 stages of simulacra? Remember the 4 stages of simulacra. Here is where we start seeing the vagueness. The second or third stage. The second stage is a perversion of reality, where people come to believe that the sign is an unfaithful copy. So the original people, right, that they copied from, now they're not original anymore, which mask and denatures reality as an evil experience. It is of the order of malefiance. Let me look that up. It means causing harm, destruction, especially by the supernatural means. Interesting. It is the order of destruction. You see, when you want something to be done and it's in your way, you're like, yo, you're in my way. So we are in their way. Here, signs and images do not faithfully reveal reality to us, but can hint at the existence of an obscure reality, which the sign itself is incapable of encapsulating. So now, that may be the second stage, that may be the third stage. We don't know. But here I see, for good or for evil, and identified with the entire history of the American people, going back more than 200 years, this sentiment is natural and praiseworthy. There is not now, there has never been, and we think there will never be. Canaan, you see that spirit? Remember, in Jubilees, they're told, don't go there because it ain't yours. They didn't listen. Here they're saying the same shit. There's not now, there has never been, and we think, remember, this is Frederick Douglass, who his father was white. There will never be any general desire on the part of our people to immigrate from this land to any other, at least of all, to the wilds of Africa. You wonder, wait a minute, hold on a second. So now we're seeing some serious stuff here. So now, where are we in the stage? The third stage masks the absence of profound reality, where the sign pretends to be a faithful copy. So now they're not going nowhere. Now they're it. I'll give you an example. Who else said this? Elijah Muhammad. Message to Black Man in America. 2012. This is on page... well, it's a little short book. Look what it says here. So you can see for yourself. See for yourselves. A characteristic of Muhammad's teachings is that he never, as Garvey and others did before him, preached back to Africa doctrines of the salvation of the American, quote unquote, so-called Negro. Okay? Muhammad says that America is not the white man's home. He belongs in Europe, and by force took America from our Asiatic brother. You see the obscurity now. For the Indian, we have as much right to this soil as the white man. Why should we claim the land of our black brothers in Africa? Oh, hold on a second. Once again, when you're talking about imposter syndrome, schizophrenia, bipolarism, those are all conditions of the mind. And they're all relative. Schizophrenia is relative to bipolarism. Schizophrenia is relative to imposter syndrome. Schizophrenia is relative to simulacrum, simulacra, or simulation, basically. You're trying to be somebody you're not in every shape or form. And there's stages to this effect. You copy the image, then you claim that the image is obscure now. We don't believe that image. We're kind of the image now, because even that image doesn't make any sense. So now nobody knows. But here we see where it's coming from. The seed is being planted. Now they're calling us their people. We have as much right to this soil as the white man. Why should we claim the land of our black brothers in Africa, for which he has given his life and labor? It belongs to him. Our destiny, he points, is right here in America. I should tell you why. Look how it says it again. So it is with us, the so-called Negroes, lost found members of the Asiatic nation. You see where we're going with this now. You see how they blur the lines. They're blurring the lines. He who has found us is our Father, the God of love, life, freedom, justice, and equality. He has found his own, though his own does not know him. They, the so-called Negroes, are following the love and loving a foster father, the devil, who has no love for him nor their real father, but seek to persecute and kill them daily. He, the devil, makes the lost and found children, the American so-called Negro. Remember, he called you guys Asiatic brothers, but now, right? Here you go. Think that their real father, God, is a misery unknown, blah, blah, blah. Invisible spook somewhere in space. You know, we're talking about this, right? Check this out. Let's continue. Just going to go fast on this. Because again, I'm just trying to make sure that you guys understand where this is coming from. Even today, the white American slave masters are ever on the watch to keep out any Asiatic influence that might come among the so-called Negroes to teach them the truth. There are our real open enemies. This is no secret. The Son of Man is after the so-called Negroes to set them in heaven and his enemies in hell. After his conquest of the black nation's enemies, the world will know and recognize him, Allah, to be God alone. See this? He's constantly mentioning these things. Check this out. He submitted himself with all humbleness to the persecutors each time he was arrested. He sent for me so that I might see and learn the piece of truth for us, the so-called American Negroes, members of the Asiatic nation. So let's continue.
Why have we not received any restitution for the 1866 Indian treaties? And that's why I put these treaties on my website, so you guys can read them and understand what is owed to us as a people for these treaties. We are owed far more than reparations. That was the main purpose of why I went to go get the treaties and put the treaties on my website.
When does a black person stop being white? I'm wondering. This guy's lighter than me. When do you guys stop being black or white? Or when do you become white? When the nose goes away, when your hair's not as curly, when your eyes are blue or green, because that doesn't count. I see a lot of y'all with green eyes, you still think you're black. So I need to know. Inquiring minds need to know. When does the N-word, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't give a shit about that stuff. But it's like, I'm confused. But let's continue.
At theresearchguy.com, so you guys can read these treaties, see what's owed to us, and we can go. And I feel, and just me personally, I feel like we as a people should not be looking for reparations, but looking for them to actually uphold these 1866 Indian treaties. That's what we should be focused on. So in July 19th, 1866, we know the U.S. government, they signed this 1866 Indian treaty, and a lot of our people, believe it or not, were slave owners. Yeah, I know.
There we go, right there.
It's going to be hard to understand. And it's going
Wait. Listen to what he says.
We're slave. 66. We know the U.S. government. They signed this 1866 Indian Treaty, and a lot of our people, believe it or not, were slave owners. Yeah, I know that's going to be hard to understand, and it's going to be hard for people to take in, but a lot of our own people owned slaves. Yes, they did.
Well, yeah, I know you did. And it was just a matter of time where you would have to come to your senses and actually accept the fact. Let me get rid of this because I get weird messages from random people. Check this out. Okay, so he says his father, they own black people, right? I mean, they own slaves. Check it out.
Yeah, I know that's going to be hard to understand, and it's going to be hard for people to take in, but a lot of our own people owned slaves. Yes, they did.
A lot of their people own slaves. Okay, sounds good. I've never heard of us owning each other. But for that sake of being on that topic, so Wabos, by the way, dear white people, dear Wabos and dear white people, okay? You see when it says black conquistadors? Okay. So they enslaved us too, right? But did you know that black folks were enslaving white people as well? Yeah, there was laws that allowed black folks to buy white people. But you want to pay them reparations. Does that make sense? Or is this not sinking in? Juan Garrido, African. Sebastian Toral, Africa. Pedro Folupu, all black conquistadors. These guys raped, pillaged, slaughtered, fed people to dogs. You had power. And you had swords, and you had the right by the church, which you say you don't know about. But somehow, because of Deuteronomy, you would be submissive to another nation from another religion, but yet you're a part of this religion. All this is right here. All right, remember 1850? Look, the first 50 black men of Texas. Fierce, impactful Republican, strong trailblazers. So out of 170 of these representatives of Republicans, that had a house or chair, so to speak, 150 of them were black. And you want reparations. Here, he says that his mama and his papa owned slaves. Okay, cool. This is from, matter of fact, it don't matter. It don't matter from what book it is, because you guys want to know something? You guys never really give any real sources. So I'm just going to shoot the shit here. In January 1, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, thus initiating the legal process to free slaves in the rebellion southern states, and eventually to eliminate chattel slavery in North America. The ramifications of Lincoln's proclamation affected not only thousands of white slave masters, but hundreds of black slavers in Charleston City, for example. There were 91 free black masters who owned 268 slaves when President Lincoln signed that historic document. More than 75 black masters in that city were instructed to free slaves, who numbered 241. The number of black owners during the war years was a fraction of the total slaveholding community of Afro-Americans over all the slavery years in South Carolina. You see this. In 1860, the number of black slave masters was reported to be 171 persons. Wait a minute, but I thought the Emancipation Proclamation freed y'all. How can you be the slaver and the slave at the same time? Hey, shalom, Rayak. I meant to call you today, bro. Hey, what up, mighty guy? Yeah, Elijah Muhammad was an Asian. That's how he was saying all that stuff, man. I'm sure it was. But this is even more powerful. 1860, the number of black slave masters were reported to be 171 persons who held 766 slaves in the state. When have you heard of Mexican raza, indigenous, owning indigenous people? I don't have the cricket, but in fact, between 1850 and 1860, the number of colored masters decreased by 42.4%, while the number of slaves declined by 40%. Yet, before the sixth federal census, Free black slave holdings was by no means a diminishing enterprise, but a growing trend which peaked in 1840. What are you guys talking about? Check this out. Hey, Mr. White Man, you know how the black guy wants to get reparations from your asses and shit? And he acts like nothing happened, nothing to see here. I had nothing to do with slavery. It was the white man that came and enslaved us. We didn't know no better. Shut your ass up. You guys were all part of it too. Let's just keep it real, man. Let's keep it real. Let's just keep it real. 100. So, black people, before you go out and ask reparations to the white man, why don't you let the white man know that he was enslaved too? The slaves for life were white convicts shipped from Europe. Damn. There were no prisoners in the part of Africa from which the blacks came. Hence, there were no convicts among them. The word slavery was at that time loosely used too. Argyle Proclamation of June 1617 reads, goods to be sold for 25% and tobacco for 3 shillings per pound, and not under or over. Penalty 3 years, slavery to colonies. Yeah, man, it's good to be back, bro. It's good to kind of get my bearings back. Same book. This is from a book called, I'll tell you, Africa's Gift to America. Watch this. WABOs, FBAs, FBIs, CIAs, WWE, NFLs, I don't care who. Look, listen, y'all need to stop playing games. Stop trying to ask for reparations and try to act like you're the only people that were enslaved. No, it didn't happen to you guys. You guys came with the white man. And matter of fact, you had more power in some cases than the white man. This is why antebellum period was so wonderful for y'all. Jim Crow was a retaliation. I hate to say it. It's racist as hell for what they did, but you should have seen what you were doing to them. If you guys watch the movie Antebellum Period, it gives you a hint of their status at that time. It gives you a reflection of a current event, but their spirit at that time, how they actually talked, it hasn't changed. Let's continue. Finally, Negroes bought white people in America as early as 1640. Are we going to give reparations to white people now? The United States Guide to Virginia says in the 17th century in Virginia, Negroes used to import white servants and received head rights to the land. Now, I've shared with y'all before about head right program. The first ones that were benefiting from it were black folks. In case you guys don't know, look, I'll show you here real quick. I got a video in Spanish. Hold on, where are you? Got a video in Spanish. Watch this. And this has to be said because you want to know something? You got a guy there that saying that his mama or his family owned slaves. Okay, well, let's see this. Okay, let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find it. If not, oh well. Anyways, I got a video it's in Spanish, and he's actually saying who was here first and who was enslaving who first. It says, your finally Negroes bought white people in America as early as 1640s. And the United States Guide to Virginia says that in 17th century in Virginia, Negroes used to import white servants and receive head rights to land. Meaning that for every slave that you had or indentured servant, you get about 50 acres. Where do those acres come from? The natives. But let's continue. Well, hold on a second. Hold on. I didn't mean to click out of that. Then it says here, one of them, Richard Johnson, imported 2 white servants and received 100 acres of the land on the Pongotay River. You see? J.H. Russell, white, in his doctor thesis, The Free Negro in Virginia. Indeed, for more than 20 years after the Negroes first appeared in court, there was no restriction upon their right to own white indentured servants. Wobbles, what are you going to say about that? I mean, Make it make sense. These first Africans were variously called Niger, I don't know, Niger, however you guys want to say it. The river Niger, because when I see Niger, it's all I think about. Niger, or Niger, or whatever. Ethiopian, more. Niger was pronounced not Niger, but Niger. That's what he says. Virginia, as we see in Henning's statutes, passed laws 5 times prohibiting purchase of white people by free Negroes. You see this? No Negro Indian, though baptized and enjoying their own freedom, shall be capable of any such purchase of Christians, but yet not debarred from buying their own kind. That's why in historical books, when you see Christians, they really mean white. When you see Europeans, it could be Swati. Let's keep going because I want to remind this dude that it's my family owned slaves, but you just have to accept it. No. We don't just walk over that shit like that. For centuries, y'all been saying that what was white people that enslaved you guys. Now all of a sudden, black people enslaved too, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The ownership of African American slaves by other African Americans were surely one of the most peculiar features of peculiar institutions. Yet in the antebellum South, free black people did indeed own enslaved black people. Yeah, hide me from the secret council of the wicked. Why that was so has been a matter of dispute. Most historians have emphasized benevolence, supposedly, as a motivation of slaveholders by blacks, but others have emphasized the exploitation. And I can show you how that's total bullshit. That, it's benevolence because, they were families. Shut your asses up. These papers seek to contribute to the debate using the quantitative approach, drawing upon census data in order to investigate the extent to which the pattern of slaveholding by blacks was or was not similar to that of slaveholdings by whites. First called to make an extensive study of black slaveholders was Carter G. Woodson. You see this? Thus, African Americans held other African Americans in a kind of pseudo-slavery rather than genuine servitude. Really? You gonna believe that, fam? Check this out. This is gonna hurt them. Free blacks became slave owners early in our history. Indeed, one of the first known legal sanctions of slavery, other than as punishment for crime, involved a black owner. In 1654, Anthony Johnson and his wife Mary, in a court suit, gained the services of their black servant, John Kessler, for life, actually. Slave owning by free Negroes was so common in the period of Commonwealth as to pass unnoticed without criticism by those who consciously recorded events of the time. John Russell, in his Free Negroes in Virginia, which we read earlier, the most remarkable property right possessed by free Negroes was the right to acquire, own, and alienate slaves. And while you're enslaving, you're also taking land that don't belong to you. But you want to point the finger at us or the white man. And now you want to act like, you had nothing to do with it. It's all the white man's fault. And now you're saying, natives, you guys are racist against us. Why? Because we're telling you the truth? We're seeing facts here. You see, we can read now. You guys both had a lot to do with us not reading. The literacy rate in America in the 1900s for raza or indigenous people was about 5%. 10% guaranteed. Look it up. There were black slavers. Indeed, for more than 20 years from the time when Negroes first appeared in the courts, there was no legal restrictions upon the rights to own indentured white servants. There were more black slavers in Boston as early as 1724. There were more black slaveholders in Boston than white people. In Connecticut by 1783. In Alabama by 1797. Among the earliest records in the deeds book of St. Augustine, Florida, is a document recording the sale of a black slave for a free black by a free black. I mean, come on, man. By 1790, 48 Maryland black owners possessed 143 slaves. Now, in case y'all don't know, The majority of the slaves initially from 1492 to 1690 were predominantly native. Let that fucking sink in, because the majority of blacks were indentured servants. Yeah, it's very true. Come and prove me wrong. By 1790, 48 Maryland black owners possessed 143 slaves. Nat Burner or Butler or Matt Turner, is that even real? Just like the Willie Lynch letter wasn't real. We're starting to find out you guys are a bunch of confabulated simulacrums. That's probably a heavy word for you guys to look up. Look it up. It says Nat Butler, a free black who lived near Aberdeen in Hartford County, owned a small farm and regularly purchased and sold Negroes of the Southern trade. Some considered black slavers, hard taskmasters, and claimed, listen to this, because I'm about 20 minutes left. I have to go. And claimed free black owners were as usual or usual thing. Listen to this. Free black owners were as a usual thing, much more severe on their slaves than the white owners. So the whole story about buck breaking, like that severe slavery, it says here that black slave owners were more severe than them. Who typically are the pimps in the street? You see the savagery in the attitude in certain things that are being done, whether it's in jail or outside of jail. We see no limitations on some of them. I'm just going to call it for what it is. And here, black slave owners was a usual thing. And I'm going to add it, much more severe on their slaves than the white owners. So if we know that white owners, slave owners were raping women and the men and the boys, what were y'all doing? Mr. Black people, Mr. Black slavers, what were y'all doing? Why are you hiding this shit? Why aren't you bringing this up? You say you want truth. Why is this not available for y'all? How come this is ignored? Why do I have to show this to you? Check this out. In South Carolina, free Negro masters were similar to white slave owners. Both exploited the labor of slaves with the desire for profit. Quite often, the colored artisans bought slaves who were employed in their trade. Quite often, they bought slaves. What the fuck are you guys talking about, man? You walk around acting like you had nothing to do with the slavery. We know that there was black conquistadors, and the smallpox was brought by black people. Yet here you want to say that, oh, no, it was a white man that did it, the white man that did it, and you Mexicans are you're not even from this country. You're Asians, you're Mongols. I'm blown away, but you know what? I think I can understand. I think I can understand why. Quite often, the colored artisans bought slaves who were employed in their trade. Others bought slaves to be hired out and then kept the wages of their bondsmen. They also established a master-slave relationship, which demanded subservience from their slaves. The document I have examined showed Negro masters selling rebellious slaves. So much for the philanthropy, huh? Oh, it's because we do it out of love. You know what I'm saying, Ak? You know what I mean? We do it out of love, Ak. Let me see what you got, bro. You seem to be a good researcher. You can research William Leader-Dar. I read somewhere he was enslaving natives. Let me see. Let me write that name down. Thank you, bro. William A. Door. Sounds like German shit. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It's crazy because we got raza supporting these people. Yeah, they're a bunch of pendejos, bro. That's why. No saben es que no estudian, homie. They don't study. They don't want to read. It says the documents, thank you, by the way, brother. The documents I have examined show Negro masters selling rebellious slaves for placing disobedient bondsmen in the local jail or the workhorse. You see this? Yet black slaveholdings had a benevolent side. Oh, please, give me a break. I'm not even going to hear that shit. They had a benevolent side. Remember, keep this in mind, black conquistadors. So don't be surprised as to why they had slaves, because they came with the white man. And remember, over there in Europe, when they wanted to get rid of poor white folks, they just brought them over here and got them in indentured servitude under contracts. And they would work for black or white slaveholders. It's time you guys need to learn that shit. This is from the 7 Myths. It says here, watch this. As a black West African brought against his will to the Americas in the 16th century, Valiente was hardly unique. The transportation of the West Africans as slaves of their homeland, which had been a part of the trans-Saharan trade for centuries, became an increasingly important part of the new Atlantic economy in the late 15th century. So in reality, the transatlantic slave trade was about our people, not black people. The transatlantic slave trade was about our gente, not black people. Get that through your heads. It says here, the discovery would take the slave trade and hold on, became an increasingly important part of the new Atlantic economy in the late 15th century. The discovery would take the slave trade in a new direction and serve to magnify its considerable, so that over the 4th century ending in 1850, some 12 million men, women from West and Central Africa would be loaded onto transatlantic slave ships. But that was way far later. There are periods. So let's continue. The first black Africans brought to the Americas probably arrived in 1505. You see what I'm saying? And in 1510, the king of Spain authorized the first large imports of Africans, supposedly. But we know damn well that many came with them. So once more, before I go, let me continue playing the video. Got about 15 minutes left.
Because my grandfather, I can show you records on my grandfather. He had them. So
he had slaves.
We need to understand all of that part about these treaties. But the point of what I wanted to bring out was because we never talk about these 1866 treaties and what we are owed in those treaties. So when a lot of these Native Americans, because I had a lot of backlash, I listen, I can go in my email, right? I could just put my email on screen and show you many emails from Native Americans, Europeans, saying, oh, you guys just trying to claim that you're Native so you can get some benefits. Well, let's backtrack. Let's not even talk about who is Native or who is indigenous or who is American Indian and all of that. We're not even talking about that portion of it. Let's just talk about it from a business standpoint. Even if you claim, well, you guys are Africans and blah, 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 and it doesn't matter. If you were born in that territory during that time of July 19th, anytime before July 19th, 1866, any of the people who went on the Trail of Tears during the 1830 Indian Removal Act, okay, any of those people who went on that Trail of Tears and came back to that territory, or they was born in that territory before 1866, are owed benefits under the 1866 Indian Treaty.
What he's basically saying, family, is, well, let's not talk about whether we black or not, or Africans or not, right? Let's just say, I mean, let's just talk about the reality here. We were there already. So if we were there already, you know, and you know, we were part of that. That's kind of what he's saying. Again, signs and imagery. Let's continue.
There's these various identity cults within the African American community that all play a role in what we're talking about here. There's many facets to it, so it's kind of hard to unwind everything to make sense of it. But the claims all kind of are very similar, and either Africans were already here before 1492, or that there was black Native Americans here before 1492. So you have these one faction of the African American community claiming they are not African, but they are original Native Americans, and that the original Native Americans were black. Then you have this other facet in the African American community that are claiming that they are African, but not all Africans came here during the slave trade. Some were already here before Columbus, and they're the Olmecs and stuff like that. So it's very complex, but it's all erasure. It all boils down to that they are trying to erase our indigenous history, and they're taking it for themselves. Whatever side they're on, whether it's it's a black indigenous or whether it's Africans were already here, it's all in attempt to give themselves a foundation in the Americas. To fast forward that to 2020, I believe that the people are pushing this movement because black folks of African Americans, they want reparations, and they feel they're owed reparations through slavery. and they feel that Native Americans have already gotten reparations because there's reservations and things like that. We see it all the time in comments on social media that Native Americans already got reparations. When are we going to get our reparations? We're indigenous also. That's their claims. We were here also. We were here before Columbus also, but our identity's been kept from us. So it's this conspiracy that the white government, along with tribal Native Americans, have somehow misclassified these so-called Black indigenous people and called them Negroes and Africans, when really they're supposed to have been already here before Columbus, and therefore they deserve land, they deserve resources, they deserve reparations and things like that. So.
Well, you know, I got something to say about that, man, because I keep asking people, where's their diet, bruh? How come these guys don't know nothing about what we eat here? Like, at all. As a matter of fact, look, I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example, family. I'll give you an example. Because, you know, I'm from Guadalajara, right? I was born in Guadalajara. And I'm big on tamarindo. So, you know, the way we do it, we peel the tough, you know, the dry skin, and I'm going through it and all that. And I'm like, you know, if these wobbles were really the natives, how come they don't eat the same shit we eat? What did we do? Steal that shit from them too? They have no concept of tamarindo. That means tamarind. And you know that tamarind is in the Bible? Yes, it is. But anyhow, I digress. Let me show you what is going on. Okay, let me show you something. Hold on. I'm about to leave. Examples of confabulation in Korsakov's patients, Alzheimer type dementia patients, and healthy subjects are discussed. It is argued that there are two types of confabulation: spontaneous confabulation, which may result from the superimposition of frontal dysfunction. You got an issue here. On an organic amnesia, and provoke confabulation, which may reflect a normal response to a faulty memory. So you're like, confabulation? What does a confabulation mean? Let's look it up. Confabulation means this. Here, let me just look it up. Confabulation definition. Confabulation means fabricate imagery, experience as compensation for loss of memory. So another example of confabulation is when a person with gaps in their memory is asked to remember and describe the detail of a past event. And here is where they're like, well, you know, I think, I don't know. So you got some that are spontaneous, superimpositions of frontal dysfunction, because like they're just, I don't remember. Or the other ones. So confabulation is a sincere condition because it has to do with schizophrenia, bipolarism, and imposter. What was the word I was looking earlier? Imposter syndrome, confabulate, simulacrum, simulation. This is the root of the problem. It don't matter what pictures you show them. It don't matter if you bring them facts, fam. You get them books. You really shout, yo, listen, I have to go. I really have to because something came up. But I had some books, and I'm going to continue this video, to be honest, because I have books here that really like should tell you the complexion of the gente here was white, brown, dark, red, but we all had straight, long hair, black usually, or a little wavy. And it even shows how we used to fix the hair. It's just like, bro, what's the word? It's flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted right now. It is argued that there may be two types of confabulation: spontaneous. So here we see now. They're trying to fit a gap. Because yes, you're probably right. I guess I would hate to have that history. You know, a history that maybe didn't amount to much. And you know, there's obviously beautifulness in who we are, in what we do. So you obviously are going to want to fill the gap in memory by fabrication. By fabrication. Got a few minutes.
So it's very complex, but it all based upon, it seems like it's like money motivated in some aspects, because we'll see these websites and these different type of Facebook pages where they're selling fake tribal IDs. They're saying we'll do the lineage for you. Send us $199 and we'll create an indigenous lineage for you. It's just it's money motivated, and it's actually anti-African. It's anti because they're denying their African roots. And it's anti-indigenous because they're keeping us from our roots. They're claiming that we're Siberian invaders, that we're not indigenous to the land, that we're nothing but Asians that came over 20,000 years ago and they were here.
And that's exactly what he's talking about. Yeah, and hey, you know what? Straight hair, as it grows longer, it becomes wavy. It also, yeah, you're right. And you want to know something? If you put straight hair in braids, like my daughters, braid them up. Once you loosen it up, there's a little wave to it. So, when you talk about these books, as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring you at least one. Okay, because every single one I got is a heavy hitter. But right here, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so check this out. This is from a book. Okay. All right. This is from a book called, and then that's it. And I'm out of this because I got to go pick up my son. This is from a book called a historical collection of the several voyages and discoveries of the South Pacific Ocean, written in 1770. Okay. This book was written in 1770. Don't let nobody fool you. Okay. So let's go real quick. Check this out. This is on page, just look up the complexion word. All right, so I suggested download it from archive.org. Adelantado Alvarado de Mendana, when he was sailing in 1595 towards the islands of Solomon, which he said were from 7 degrees, 10, 12 degrees south and 15 leagues from the city of Lima, met with 4 small islands together, inhabited by so good a people that there is no count of any other having been discovered that can be reckoned equal to them. But for the chief part, the Indians are ill-featured and of indifferent figures, and of a brown complexion, as in Peru, New Spain, Terra Firme, Nicaragua, Filipinas, and other parts. Now you wonder, why is he mentioning that? I'll explain it if I got time. But I'm going to continue with this video. So just, this is part 1, basically. These islands are in the latitude of 90 degrees, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get to the point. Let's go to the next one. Complexion. These are actual animals. There's only a few. Here goes another one. This is on page 144. It says here, he discovered the land of the Bay of St. Philippi and St. James, which on the side they saw of it, which stretches from the east to the west, appeared to be above 100 leagues in difference. It is a country very populous, and although the natives be of brown complexion, they're very civilized. You see this? Now, he didn't say they look like Africans, did he? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not. But we got more. I got a lot more installed for you, bro. I got a lot more. Check this out. I further say, sir, that in the island called Taumaco, which is reckoned 1250 leagues distant from Mexico, we continued at the anchor 10 days, and that the lord of that island, whose name was Tamei, a sensible man, well-made, of a good presence, and in complexion somewhat brown, with beautiful eyes, sharp nose. Do you understand what that means? You see me here. Sharp nose means like que sale para afuera. It ain't flat. You know what I'm saying? Or a little more like my son and my daughters. Okay, they have a little bit more finer noses than me. But again, sharp nose Beard, I tell you, they used to say we didn't have beard. Beard and long hair and curled. Boof. And like the brother said, when it gets longer, it gets curly. But again, when you do braids, it does get curly too. And in his manner grave, assisted us with his people, embarkation to get wood and water. All right, let's continue. After this, I'm done. It says here, the very populous inhabitants are dun complexioned and Indians, some friends, and are very warlike. Okay, so we'd say like dung complexion, I guess brown. Okay, so let's continue. Here we go. All right, here we go here. Oh, this is the interesting part. This is the Dutch voyage. Well, let me see if I can go back to this other page. I think I might have seen something on this one. No, it's okay. Watch what it says here. This is interesting right here. It says here, this island might be about 20 leagues in circuit and extends near southwest and southeast and is situated in 14 degrees, 0.35 south, the land of it being very low, as that of the Tuberones, and full of cocoa nut trees. In the midst of it is water. It says, we saw people adjoining to the wood, sitting near the shore, who were of a complexion very yellow, inclining to red, with long hair, extremely black, and tucked up behind. You know what I'm saying? That don't sound like an afro. It don't sound like an afro. You guys don't have black hair. That's another one. We're almost done. So here we see that he picks up a few people, right? And they're good swimmers. Our people, he says, went to them and took some of the water and brought them aboard to us. There were people very yellow in complexion. Y'all are not yellow. Unless you're white. And that's not even yellow. That's pink. Speaking a language unknown to us, and treated them well. Having particular compassion for the women who weep because of their husbands who were drowned. Let's continue. We're just a few. Check this out. Here we see more people. They had a kind of veil and a woolen cloth of the same kind. Remember, this book is in 1770. 1770, not 1820, not 1900, 1770. They had a kind of veil or woolen cloth of the same kind as they were before their nudities, to cover them from the heat of the sun, of a strange and whimsical color. It means the men in general were quite naked. The women were covering their other obscure parts. A few of also men. Okay. It says of a whimsical color. They were of a red complexion and rubbed or anointed themselves with a certain oil or some other grease. The women had their hair cut short as the men before, and the men wore it very long and colored very black. Black. I don't see no wavy shit here or wool. Let's continue. Got a few more. These people are valiant, large in stature. The men in general amongst them were as high as the highest of ours. The tallest among them surpassed very much in height the tallest of ours. They were strong and of a good make of body and limb, good runners, expert swimmers, of a yellowish brown complexion. They are singular and very various in the manner of dressing their hair. Some have it tied 4 or 5 and 6 tails. Remember how the braids? That's like that. So we would braid our hair like the image the brother is using, or the ones that black people like to use that claim only they do that, which appeared to us to be the most strange. You see, so it says if natives were using the hairstyle that way, that means that black people back then were not doing this, family. Check this out. It said, it had dressed right an end, standing up above a quarter of an eel long, like hog's bristles. So it says here that, and some of them, which appear to us strange, had dressed right an end, standing up above a quarter as ell long, or hog's bristles. What is hog's bristles? Hog's bristles, family, is this right here. Get fucking woolly hair out of that. Get woolly hair out of that. How the hell do you get woolly hair out of that? You can't. You can't get woolly hair out of that. I don't know who you think you are, but this isn't correct. Uh-oh, hold on. I gotta go. Shit. But this isn't correct. So it says here that they would hold their hair in many tails, and sometimes they would stick them up with like little brushes like that. You know what I mean? Little pelitos sticking up. You can't do that to woolly hair, man. I don't care how you cut it. The king had a long tail at the left side of his head, which hung down his side to his haunch, tied with a knot or two. His nobles had two such tails, each at one side of the head. They went all naked as well as the women, as men as the women, having little covering before their bodies. You see this shit right here? I do not see no woolly hair. We're almost done. Here goes page 71. Their complexion was of a yellowish brown, their hair black and coarse, closely tied over the crown of their heads after the manner of Japan.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
There are others of reddish complexion. Check this out. They are in general, I'm going to end it with this. These islanders are in general lively, well-made, strong, pretty slender, and very swift on foot. Their looks are mild, pleasing, modest, and submissive. They are extremely cowardly and timorous. Whenever they brought us provisions, whether fowls, fruit, or other things, they threw them with precipitation at our feet and immediately returned as fast as they could. They are, listen to this, family, take notes of this book. They are of others of a reddish complexion, as if burnt by the sun. Their ears hang down to their shoulders, and from the ears of some of them hang two white balls as great ornaments. Their bodies were painted with all kinds of figures of birds and other animals, some handsomer than others. You see this here. We did not discover what else in the islands composed of fine color. The women are covered with red and white cover lids and wear a small hat made of brush and straw. What else? What else? I think that's it. Let me see. Oh, here goes. Last one. In the southern lands are often three kinds of people. Some in color olive, others quite black, and others quite white.
Bruh.
And as for my part, I affirm to have seen people not only white, black, and yellowish, but also of a reddish complexion, without a doubt, burnt by the heat of the sun. Here he mentions Aaron Levi. Here he, no matter of fact, I'm sorry, let me just read this. A certain rabbi named Aaron Levi, in a small treatise entitled Mukwa Israel, or Salvation of the Jews, supposed that the white or olive-colored people who inhabited the southlands are descendants of the 10 tribes of Israel, who were dispersed. This is a very ridiculous supposition, as it is obvious that the art of navigation was not well known in the ancient times for them to be navigated parts of the far distant, and it is impossible to go by land to the southern countries, as I have acquaintance with blah, 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 blah. So as you can see, this man here, right? Oh, and by the way, let me go back. The name of the book, don't forget, it's called, give me a second, An Historical Collection of the Several Voyages and Discoveries of the South Pacific Ocean. His voyage in the 1700s. Okay? Look this book up. It's heavy. It's beautiful. A collection of historical discoveries. Volume 1, by the way. And in case you guys don't believe me, that's 1770. Okay? Not 18. 1770. All right? Anyway, so we're going to stop right here. It's at 8 minutes. I'm going to continue this class. It's going to be part 2. But I got to go, family. I'm only going to play one song. I apologize. Thank you, man, for you guys for being here. I got to go. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Yeah, the Mohawk, bro. That's what I'm talking about. The Mohawk, bro. The Mohawk, bro. These people have no clue. But hey, you know what? They can always come and get it here. They're welcome to learn something for the once in their life, maybe. But again, who knows, right? Who knows? Okay, man. So you guys take care. Have a good night. I apologize for having to cut it short, but you know, my son, he's not doing well right now, and he needs my attention. So, man, I got to work tomorrow early in the morning. Okay, so you guys, hope that was useful. Give me a second. Let me get you a song real quick. I got something in mind right now. It's hold on.
This is what you want.
I was trying to think about it the other day. I finally found it once more. So, give me a second. There it goes right here. All right, fam. Have a good night. Saludos. Hasta luego a todos.
Across the block, Kahed Belajah, where I get my chala. Who reporting live from the universe? It's the First Nations MC. You could do the search. Who been through the worst? Surviving genocide, fighting for a better life. They try to set aside the true history and keep us mystical. They say they founded this country on biblical principles. It's so cynical, but I'm an analyst. It's murderous. They refer to us as merciless. Indian savages. Now that's written in the Declaration of Independence. That's no kidding. Hey, open up your heart and let love lead the way. Light your path with the words that I speak today. Let the lessons flow, arrive and bless your soul. Systematic racism alive, intentional. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow.
His daily life was filled with ceremony, and every act had some significance. The Indians believed in the spiritual, the mysterious.
ይቃል
Hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.